Splatoon's the game only on Wii U. Or at least it was for 2 years. Then came the Nintendo Switch, and with it Splatoon 2, and now there's a third one on the way at the time that I'm making this video. The series has been loved by many in the relatively short time that it's been around, and it's only grown in popularity as seen in the Inklings addition to Smash Bros, for example. And like any adored series, it had to start somewhere. As myself and my livestream viewers were curious, we decided to dust off the old gamepad and take a leisurely stroll down memory lane by playing Splatoon. The thing about Splatoon that I quickly realized is that all the little things in this game helped give it its charm. For example, the Inklings room in the loading screen and how detailed it is. You can see a bunch of brands stuck around like a Firefin sticker on the wall and Zinc shoes on top of a shoebox along with other available gear below them. And there's a splatter shot and a charger sitting by waiting to be used in a turf war. Small special cans from story mode are sitting on the desk, a test room dummy lies on the back shelf, and next to it is a small Power Gear figurine, which is a set of amiibo gear that's available. They even have a Squid Sisters poster on the wall, and of course their phone on the bed, because why wouldn't an Inkling as fresh as this not have a phone? Everything in this room helps give life to the world, and the game hasn't even loaded up yet. There's so much charm in just this single loading screen that gets you immersed in the world just like that. Even on the gamepad, you can see the splotches of ink left on the floor in the actual world. Virtually everything about this gets you immersed and excited to start playing. Splatoon 2 lacks this kind of individuality since its loading screen is just squids. I mean, don't get me wrong, squids are amazing, but look at what we could have had! This is a little off topic of Splatoon, but the Wii U definitely excelled in personality compared to the Switch. Look at how full of life this is when compared to this! It's actually pretty depressing when you really think about it. Hey look, it's Callie and Marie! Like Off the Hook in Splatoon 2, the Squid Sisters tell you about the stages that are currently in rotation. They make sure to interrupt your playtime every time the stages change every 4 hours. That's right, in Splatoon 2, the stages change every 2 hours to keep things fresh for you, but in the original, you had to play on Moray Towers for 8 kajillion hours before you got to play on a map that you actually wanted to play on. And unlike in 2, you can't tell what maps are in the next rotation, so you might be waiting days to play on Salt Spray Rig like you wanted to. So the changes in this area are greatly appreciated by me, who wants to perfectly time my Moray Towers matches. The main hub is Inkopolis Plaza instead of the square, and it's filled with life. Not as much life, mind you, since Miiverse was suddenly put to rest. But the Inklings are still around, and so are the shopkeepers. I mean, NPCs are obviously still going to be there, but what really surprised me is when I went online. There's still somewhat of a player base. I expected to see a bunch of hackers ruining the game for everyone, but people were actually really respectful and played matches like you'd expect. Squid bagging is still really common though. Honestly, I didn't see any hackers for the entire 2.5 hours that I played for. Maybe I just got lucky though. Before I discuss my time online, let's liven up the plaza with some glitches. I did one where I messed with the camera while talking to Spike to make the volume really quiet. Did I do it? I think I did it. Did I do it? I think I did it. Did I? Nope, I didn't. This actually had the opposite effect and made everything really awkward and boring. So instead, I tried to escape on the train by going out of bounds. Player jumps on top of the Inkling towards east. This guy. Oh, this? This one didn't take too long, so here's the outcome. It's gonna take a while. I didn't get to play many of the original stages like I'd hoped to, but I did get to play on Bluefin Depot, Flounder Heights, Hammerhead Bridge, and Mahi Mahi Resort. I really wish these maps would come back someday. The platforming on Mahi Mahi is a fun challenge that I'm terrible at, and the way the water level changes makes it memorable to me. Hammerhead Bridge has some great places to be sneaky since there's so many walls to swim up and around, and having a grate as the floor for most of it gives you more options to attack from the ground or above. Flounder Heights has 2 central buildings that give it an excellent vantage point for longer ranged weapons to ink from, so it makes for a fun battle to get control of them. Also, a fun little detail I found was a live map of the area as the match goes on. I never really noticed it before, and I think it's a really excellent detail. Lastly, Bluefin Depot is separated by a river, so it makes it crucial to split up in groups to take control of the area. I really wish I could have played the other stages that I've missed for so long, but thanks to them not liking their jobs, I'll just need to settle for what I was dealt. 4 hours to change 4 stages. maybe that's why they got replaced. I can't do it! I can't do it! I can't! All of the base weapons are still in the game, minus some of the new ones like the dualies or the grellas, and they play the same as they do in Splatoon 2, with exception of the vertical flick of rollers and holding your charge in ink with a charger. The things that really excited me about these weapons were the subs and specials. They were perfectly balanced in this game, so it makes me wonder why they were ever changed in the sequel. In all seriousness though, they were a little too much. For example, the Seeker that was changed to the Curling Bomb in Splatoon 2 would act like a curling bomb, but would lock on and seek and destroy its target. You can easily jump over it, but the players I played against... That's gonna kill you though. They can't deal with it. They don't understand. Yeah. I wish Seekers would come back one day. I never actually used disruptors myself, but they were really annoying. They were replaced by Toxic Mist because when you get hit by one, they'd slow you down for what felt like forever. At least with Toxic Mist, you can just leave the cloud or not go into it at all, but I can't help but feel like this one disrupts all the fun. Please let me ride the train. I just want to ride the train. Reminded me of that one, you know, Sonic and the Secret Rings, where it's like, who's gonna rock the place? Who's gonna ride the train? I'm losing my mind. The specials were so much easier to use in this game, I must say. Many of them are pretty much just panic buttons when you feel overwhelmed, which isn't exactly how they work in Splatoon 2. The Kraken and the Bubbler are perfect examples of this, as they both activate as soon as you press in the right stick, and you're invincible for the entire time that they're active. When you jump into enemy players as the Kraken, you instantly splat them, and if you touch your teammates with the Bubbler, they get bubbled with you, and it acts as a shield until it runs out. There was also the Killer Whale, which was replaced by the Stingray. It was replaced because it's an insta-kill move with a crazy hitbox. That doesn't stop me from missing my target though. The Inkzooka acts as a bazooka that shoots a thin cyclone of ink in lines. In the right hands, this is a formidable weapon. In my hands, it's not too far from a paperweight. And lastly, my personal favorite, the Ink Strike. When you activate this special, you pull out your own Wii U gamepad to coordinate a brutal, concentrated airstrike on your enemies without remorse. I love it so much because, look at this thing, and you actually need to touch the spot on your gamepad map to shoot it off. This makes it so you need to know your way around the map in order to place the perfect strike. I'm not gonna lie, it was a little difficult to correctly aim it because I'm not as familiar with these maps as I once was. But when they hit... Though I say I miss these specials, I am glad they decided to keep making new specials. I do think it would get stale if I kept getting wailed on every Splatoon game that gets released. Maybe it's all in the you know, the mindset. It's all in the game. EA Sports. It's in the game. The only ranked mode that really felt different was Rainmaker. The premise is pretty much the same, where you get the Rainmaker to the opposite side, but instead of shooting out a cute little itty bitty ball, it shoots out a typhoon of doom! It's like a chargeable Inkzooka, so that can make matches pretty chaotic. The other modes are mostly the same though, so I won't really discuss them. And Clan Blitz doesn't exist, so thank God. After I had my fun online, I thought it would be interesting to check out single player for a while. The Splatoon lore isn't necessary to enjoy the game, but it really helps build the world and furthers the connection that we have to it. Octo Valley is filled with creative levels that show off the things you can do in multiplayer when you decide to jump into it. Other than that, it's filled with sunken scrolls that can tell some pretty messed up yet interesting history. Looking through a few of these again reminded me of how deep the Splatoon iceberg really goes when you forget about the action-packed battles to see who can color the ground the most. When I finished pondering Judd the 10,000-year-old cat and the rising sea levels causing the great turf war between Inklings and Octolings, I was asked to fight the final boss. This level uses elements of the previous levels of the game to create a challenging yet fun final boss. Accompanied with the Squid Sisters Calamari incantation in the second half of the level, everything together makes this a truly memorable and entertaining ending. I mean seriously, if there's one thing you remember from Splatoon, it's gotta be this song. did it! Look at me! I did it! You all doubted me. Charge my gamepad. No, we're not gonna charge the gamepad. The stream ends when my gamepad dies. Anyways, here's the... Oh, there's an invisible wall here. Oh my god, I almost jumped back in. Oh, it is in Squiddish. Yeah, look at that. Alright, let's catch my train. Let's wait for the train to show up and then get run over. Maybe the train shows up. Do you think that the train is just gonna blip over, or do you think it's actually gonna come across the track? Oh, there it is. Well, that's unfortunate. I'm gonna miss my train. Oh, okay, I'm done. So my gamepad, as you can see, it's about to die. It's at 1 bar. So I've got a very limited amount of time to ink up the floor. Do you think we can do it? I don't think it's possible. Honestly, I don't think. Something I think everyone has done at least once in this game is try to paint the entirety of the weapon testing room. For some reason, I made a bet that I could paint everything before my gamepad died. At the time, it was blinking red, and I was pretty panicked. I guess I'll begin. 3, 2, 1, go! Don't forget the walls. No, we're not doing the walls. The walls don't count. The walls. I don't want to do walls. You know, fine. I'll do walls. 1 minute 57 for the floor. Wow, I actually have to do the walls. Alright, get your timer ready. Get your timer ready. Get the timers ready. Time! Time! Done. Everything's done. This took over 20 minutes, and if you want to watch every minute of it, I'll leave a link to the full stream at the end of this video and in the description. This probably makes more sense in context, so I think it's safe to say that this game still holds up today. Even if the servers one day shut down and more Splatoon games show up and cast shadows over it, it'll always have a special place in my heart. I'm looking forward to seeing how much the series evolves in the future, and I await the day that I take a break from Splatoon 12 and return to the original and still be enthralled by the ink strike and everything else it has to offer. I think that sums up my thoughts on Splatoon. Now it's time I put my Wii U back in its place.